Hey all! So for my second video, I'm going to do the classic what sold video. I'm going to go over what sold this week for Depop, Poshmark, eBay, and Vinted, which if you're not on Vinted, I would highly recommend getting on there because it was my best selling platform this week as well as my best profits. So that will be the fourth one that I mention. And then at the end, I'll do a little bonus of what sold at my vintage booth. So if you're interested in these, I always find these very helpful to figure out what's trending, what people are clicking on in those carts, and kind of get ideas for what to source as I'm out there. As I mentioned, my cost of goods right now, I mentioned this in my first video, but my cost of goods right now is definitely too high. I'm aware of that. I am doing this on a part-time basis to just try to get a little bit of extra money for daycare. I have a 2-year-old and we're trying to keep up with those daycare expenses. But basically, I don't have time to go to the bins at the moment, so my primary place that I'm sourcing at is my local Goodwill that I can hit like right after work before I pick up my daughter. I also did have a couple of good pickups that I'll mention later where I got things for like $1 or for $0. So that's obviously great. But yeah, let's get into it. So my first sale of the week on Depop was a J. Crew made in Japan midi skirt. The title was Vintage J. Crew Minimalist High-Waisted Midi Skirt with pockets. So pockets is key, as any lady knows. But this skirt is super cute. It had like a very off-white green color. I continued the description by saying this 90s made in Japan cotton skirt is perfect for a spring transitional piece for cottagecore minimalist layering fit. Keywords were minimalist, twee, 90s, and vintage, as well as preppy. So yeah, I thought that this piece was cool because you don't often find a made in Japan J. Crew piece. It's kind of for like the true vintage lover, connoisseur person. Maybe this is even a part of like a vintage collection. But I will say it wasn't a super quick seller. So I'm not sure if this is something I would seek out again, but if I saw it, I would probably buy it again. I bought it for $3.50 on sale at the Goodwill. I priced it for $24. I got an offer a couple months later for $18, and after fees and everything I made $16.68, which after my cost of goods leads me to a profit of $13.18. Next is a Figueroa and flower dress, a summer dress, kind of also midi. I got this at the new racks at the Goodwill. This I thought was a really beautiful piece with a gorgeous kind of painted on textile. I could see this being worn for a wedding, maybe to the beach, like, I don't know, garden party, if you go to those. I did kind of realize after I got it, because I kind of just snatched it up from the new rack, that maybe it didn't actually have the comps that I thought it would based on its style. But I did price it at $26. Once I did a little more comp research, I did price and mark that down to $22. I ended up getting an offer for $18.70, which I accepted after fees. I think this was a boosted item, still when Depop had 8% boosting fees, which we miss, RIP. But I made $15.09 I bought this for $7, so this was only a profit of $8.09, which obviously is not the best, not a super great use of my time. However, I think it's good to know and learn that, you know, this could be something to pick up if I see it in the bins, but maybe not at the regular Goodwill. Although I'm kind of just happy that this beautiful dress is going to a new home. It should not end up in the landfill because there was still plenty of life left for it. Next, so that was everything on Depop. Depop has been really slow for me. I think I noticed this maybe starting at least a month ago, kind of since the announcement that eBay was buying Depop. I don't think that that was correlated. I think it's more to do with the state of the world and the economy and gas prices, but just funny that it kind of lined up that way. Also, shipping fees for Depop have just kept getting higher, and then Vinted has had a really aggressive marketing push, as well as $0 in shipping fees, at least in the States. So I think all of that on top of each other, like Depop's just been super slow. I used to have like 8, 10 sales a week, even as a new seller. So anyway, moving on to Poshmark, I've been trying to push my Poshmark a lot more, trying to do a lot more sharing, following people. I think I got like a really slow ramp up on that side of things, just not really understanding how the platform works and not really having time to do all that following and stuff. But anyway, I did make some great sales on Poshmark this week. Made in USA, vintage Inoa, psychedelic soft v-neck pullover top, adult Y2K. So I kind of put adult Y2K because this to me reminds me of like what my mom would wear back then, or what a cool like art teacher would wear back then. Now knowing some more terms, I would have maybe used like artwear, maybe login look. But my description, I said this super soft abstract art gem is eye-catching and feels like a 90s chill mom heading to pottery class. Women's medium in excellent condition. So this sat for a little bit too, but I'm super glad that someone found it because I just knew that it was special. I listed it for $34. I ended up getting an offer on Poshmark for $25, which I accepted. I bought it for $5, and so I'm, after fees, made $20 on the platform. After my cost of goods, that is a profit of $15. I'm okay with that as a new reseller. Then just yesterday, I sent these out today, I sold butter yellow shorts, a super cute pair that I picked up in New York at, if anyone knows Urban Jungle, that place is amazing. There was so much vintage stuff. I mean, the prices were like Goodwill prices, so, but like the hunting was so much better. I don't think that this is a secret. I think pretty much if you're into vintage clothes, you know that that's the mecca of sourcing vintage stuff, you know, in a retail setting. And I went there to see a show with my husband and go visit my sister. And then I pretty much spent 5 hours there just in heaven. And we picked up a couple things which have been selling very quickly for me. So going back, I titled this listing Vintage Butter Yellow Denim Cuffed Shorts, 90s, Exchange Unlimited, size M women's. I think I could get better at my titles, but for now I try to use some keywords, definitely mention the size, the brand, etc. So I did hear, I think on another YouTuber's video, another reseller, or maybe like on Instagram, that butter yellow is the color of the summer. Sure. I mean, I feel like these kind of trend things are kind of funny because it's like, I think maybe these colors have always been trendy for the summer. It's a nice color for spring and summer. But I will say these sold very quickly. I posted them on Poshmark this week and they sold 2 days later. So clearly there's something there. Butter yellow. So I bought those for $8. I priced them at $28. I got an offer for $25. I said yes. I made $20 and my profit was $12. Moving on to eBay. I listed a Nike jacket that I sold the same day. It's kind of funny because this is the difference between Depop and eBay. I had this jacket listed on Depop for the same price for months, like maybe 3 months. I got it at a big sale at Plato's Closet for $1. And so I sold it, I listed it for $14 and it sat on Depop, no clicks or hits or offers or anything, maybe like a like or two. I sold it, I've started using Vendoo as my cross listing, and I cross listed it on eBay and it sold the very next day. So I had seen a report, like a reseller's report in my email, that Nike is one of the biggest brands that sells, that has a great sell-through rate. I think the other one is like Anthropologie, Free People, and then American Vintage. So, but it like listed it depending on the platform. But I just thought that was kind of interesting. Kind of validated the findings of that report. I didn't realize that Nike was such a good seller. I listed it for $14, got an offer for $11. I accepted it because I've had that jacket for a while, even though it was just listed on eBay for a day. I was like, go out into the world, little jacket. And my order earnings were $8.31. My title for that last jacket, by the way, if you're interested, I find this very important, was Nike Gray Green Lightweight Windbreaker Spring Jacket, size small women's. Next was the J. Jill Denim Jacket, Petite Large Classic 90s Capsule Wardrobe. This also sold pretty quickly on eBay once I cross-listed it. I listed it for $14. I had also bought this for $1 at a consignment store in town that was going out of business. And so I kind of connected with the owner and we made a deal where the last day of her store, I got to go through the remaining inventory and get anything that I wanted for $1 each. So I've been going through that huge haul that I got. The order earnings for that were $10.33. So yeah, pretty happy with that. That means that my profit there was $9.33. Quick sale on eBay. I also did get a return on eBay, which I think this is only my second return at all on any of my platforms. Like I said, I've only been reselling for like coming up on 6 months. So this was a September swimsuit that did not fit, and I had sold it for $22. I was really excited because I sold it quickly and it was a good profit for me, but they returned it saying it didn't fit, and I accepted the return. I have reposted it since, if anyone's interested. Okay, and like I said, the final best-selling platform, I'm a fan of Vinted, at least for now, because it's not taking any fees, doesn't have any shipping costs, and is pretty easy to use. So I sold vintage Hawaiian swim trunks made in Hawaii, size L. I've actually found on Vinted, like, keeping the titles really basic works well. I kind of noticed that other sellers had very basic titles. I'm still trying to figure out the best method there, but it seems to work. I think it is a pretty visual platform, kind of like Depop. These were really cool, like made in Hawaii, vintage, true vintage, swim trunks, bold, colorful, had a really cool fade on them. I listed them for $21. This was kind of funny back and forth with the person who bought them, actually as a buyer from the United Kingdom. I think they opened up the passage through the UK to the US like for a couple days, and I think they've since closed it again, but I had a ton of activity this week from people in the United Kingdom. This buyer offered $13.37. I had just listed them that day, so I was not ready to give them up at that price, given that I had bought them for $6. I countered with $19. I usually like to do a discount of about 10%, give or take. They offered back $17.38. I was at work when they offered this, so I didn't respond. I was kind of like, let's just hold off. And they actually ended up just going ahead and buying it for $19. So I made a profit there of $13, and I got to keep all of that. So no seller, no platform fees, and yeah, I think the shipping right now is $0, as mentioned. So people are buying on there. Not too much activity on the other platforms, but next is a pair of vintage navy corduroy mid-length shorts from Northern Reflections. This got a ton of activity and feedback right away. It has a really cool tag. I think the concept of corduroy shorts is appealing to people. And they're kind of unisex, so that was cool. But yeah, these sold very quickly I listed them for $17. Someone liked them, so I offered $16, and they sold for that $16. I bought them for $6, and therefore I made a profit of $10 on those, and a quick turnaround. Next, I sold a pair of BDG balloon pants, olive green. These were interesting. I got these for free. My sister lives in New York, and they can often be like really great items just set out, or she got like a donation. She was helping people move, and people would just give her clothes like when they were moving that they didn't want anymore, and they said you can go through these and see what you like and keep those, or you can donate them to Goodwill. And so she knew that I was kind of starting and getting into reselling, and so she kept a bunch of those things, and we went through it and kind of chose what we thought might do well. So I listed these for pretty cheap, kind of wanting to get more sales under my belt on these various platforms that I'm trying to build on. I listed them for $12. I got an offer of someone liked them, and I offered $10, and they sold for $10. So profit of $10 there. And finally, my last sale that I'm going to mention on the online platforms are these North Face Hedgehog hiking boots, size 6.5, corp core, hiking. Those are some of the keywords. And I had these listed for a while, but I did list them in winter, which was probably not the ideal time to list them. They have since started to get more traction, and on Vinted, I think also because of the really cheap shipping right now, they started to get a lot of likes. Someone from the UK gave me an offer. I had these listed for $35. I offered $31.56. Sorry, I think, yeah. Either they gave me an offer or I offered, but either way, we came to an agreement of $31.56, which they purchased and I sent off. They actually did send me a message saying like, hey, I didn't realize that you were stateside. I need these pretty soon. And I said I can send them out tomorrow. That's always my goal, to try to get them sent out in one day. I want to kind of have a reputation of quick shipping and quick responses, which I think has kept my ratings pretty high, just making sure that I send them the next day, if not the same day. And so I made a profit there of $31 or $30.56, because that was one of the items from the consignment sale that I bought for $1. And like I promised, for the last little bit of this video, I will quickly go over what sold at my antique mall. The antique mall is nice because there's no shipping fees. People are kind of more likely to just do a spontaneous buy. They're not looking at comps so much. There's not as much competition. They can see the material, they can feel it. So I often have a higher profit margin with things sold at the booth. I sold a pair of Liz Claiborne pointy toe mules. They were kind of like a plum purple color. They were very 90s. They sold for $22, and this I actually got also for free. These were one of the items my sister picked up. Then I sold a pair of LL Bean jeans. They had a flannel lining, and I think a lot of people at the antique mall look for LL Bean, where, like I mentioned in the first video, I'm in Maine, so I think people kind of try to get LL Bean items as like a souvenir, or I don't know. We just like LL Bean here too, so it could have been someone from here, it could have been a tourist, but they bought the jeans for $25. I bought them for $7, which leads to a profit of $18. The next sale was this little t-shirt that was like a Japanese baseball team shirt. It was not vintage, but it had that kind of like vintage look, and the baseball team is kind of a cult baseball team in Japan. Hiroshima. Anyway, I'll put a picture up here if I can find it. But I sold that t-shirt for $15. I think I got it at Goodwill for $5, and so that was a profit of $10. And then I sold a Coldwater Creek jacket for $40, and I swear to God, I cannot remember which jacket this is, but I think it was one of the jackets that I got at the consignment sale. And whatever it was, I'm very happy that it sold. I'm going to say the cost of goods there was $1, and so that means I've got a profit of $39. And that leads to a total profit there from the antique mall of $89. They do take a 10% commission, so we're going to say $81. And plus what I made online, which was $130.41. And that leads to a total of $219.41. So not a fantastic week for me, especially on the profit margin side of things. However, I'm still trying to grow my shop. I'm trying to learn what works. I'm trying to, build up my reviews. So, almost a week of daycare. I'm not mad at, having sales. So I'm grateful. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this helps some of you. And like I said in the first video, from me and my kitty cat.